Hello. Okay, A Haunting in Venice, directed by Kenneth Branagh and based on the 1969 novel A Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. This is the third film in which Branagh portrays the Belgian detective Poirot, who in post-World War II Venice, now retired and living in his own exile, reluctantly attends a seance. But when one of the guests is murdered, it's up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. So we've got a murder mystery movie with a spooky horror twist. And it's that spooky horror twist element of the story that I felt really worked a lot better for me than the murder mystery aspect of the movie. And I feel like a lot of that is just down to the fact that the mystery element, the murder mystery element of the film, you know, the whodunit aspect, it just felt very paint by the numbers and didn't really involve us an awful lot as viewers to really get involved into that element of the story. Like, I want there to be aspects of the film where I'm sort of dissecting it and going, oh, could it have been that person? Or you know, and just getting, you know, sort of having these moments throughout the movie which really kind of allows us to get immersed and try and do a lot of it ourselves, kind of, you know, in terms of guessing who the killer is. And so I felt like the film doesn't really allow us as viewers to really get involved into that murder mystery aspect, which I kind of missed. But I really liked how they created this spooky Halloween, you know, horror atmosphere throughout the movie. I really like that. And for me, personally, one of the aspects of this movie that really kind of hinders that murder mystery aspect of the film is the film's pacing, this energy, this momentum that it has. It's very snappy, it's very energetic, and I liked it. I really liked how this film and how the story flowed. It's got this kind of real kind of energy behind it that wasn't too fast and just really kind of worked with the horror, that spooky aspect of the story. But I feel like it's this pacing that also we just didn't really, you know, it wasn't really allowing us to get immersed into that mystery of, you know, whodunit aspect of the film, of this experience. And I feel like it also, as a result of the pacing, they sacrificed a lot of the character development and sort of for us to really get emotionally involved with these characters and their stories. And I feel like that one of my major gripes with the film is that we just could not really sort of get to know these characters, and as a result just kind of really lacks the emotional weight that I felt like the film needed in moments. And it's a weird one because, again, you know, and I say I've done this a lot recently in my reviews where I've mentioned something that I didn't like about a film, but it also plays into a positive. And it's one of those things again where I really kind of just liked how the film flowed, how the story, how the narrative flowed, but it also created negatives for me in regards to sort of the characters and that kind of that element of the story with the characters. And so yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because I just wouldn't change the pacing at all on reflection, looking back at it, but, you know, to really sort of allow us to get more character. And so it's like, you know, the actual energy, the momentum of this movie, it's only about 1 hour 30 minutes long, and, you know, I wouldn't change that pacing at all. But as a result, we don't get moments of dullness. I don't think there was one moment in this film that I felt was dull or boring or too slow. But we do end up having somewhat dull characters as a result. So yeah, a good example of a moment not really having the emotional impact or weight that it really needed or should have had. And that's a moment right at the end. I'm not going to say too much because this is a spoiler-free review, but it involves a little boy. It just really did lack the emotional punch that it needed, but at the same time, it did kind of hit me a little emotionally. But a lot of that was just down to the performances, you know, from the little boy as well as Kenneth Branagh as Poirot, who I think is beautiful in this role, and just the way in which he delivers his lines. And it's in this moment and it's these performances that kind of just helped really kind of somewhat pull on the heartstring a little and kind of have an impact on me. But it's also the beautiful score throughout this film that really elevates the spookiness, that kind of horror element, and just those really kind of helps elevate those emotional beats where they need to, where it lacks impact due to character, but it's aided by the way in which the film is crafted in other aspects, such as the musical score. Who the composer for this film is a Hilda Grotenter. I absolutely butchered that name there, but she did the score. She composed the music for Joker, and I think the score in this film was beautiful, and it did so much to really kind of elevate so many aspects of the experience for me. And it's in those moments that require emotional beef, emotional heft and punch, that it's this score that kind of really helps elevate that moment and sort of what that moment should really do. So yes, I felt like the characters were slightly underdeveloped and lacked any depth, but there are so many other elements to the way in which this film is crafted that kind of make up for it. The performances throughout this movie have this very kind of old Hollywood vibe about them that really help bring this era in which the story is based alive. It's also beautifully realised through the cinematography. I really dug the cinematography and look of this movie, and it helps intensify the moodiness and spookiness of the story. There's also some really great choices in how they shot this film in regards to how they position the camera and certain camera angles. I really dug it. It sort of helped really give this film an otherworldly vibe, playing into this sort of the horror, spooky aspect of the movie. And I just really dug how Kenneth Branagh chose to shoot this film alongside the cinematography. It really just sort of helps give this film this kind of otherworldly, spooky, eerie vibe that also adds this kind of air of grief to it, and it's all intensified through how the film is crafted. So yeah, I liked A Haunting in Venice. There was a lot to like. I enjoyed the movie, but there was also a lot that didn't quite work for me as well. But I did appreciate a lot in how this film was brought to life, and how it was crafted through the score, the cinematography, the way the film was shot, to the performances. That just, yeah, there was a lot to like. But like I said, when it comes to the mystery aspect of the movie, I think that's for me where it kind of really falters for me. I just really like this kind of Halloween spooky atmosphere vibe that they managed to create within this film, and it just feels like one of those films that you can catch up to on a chilly winter's night next to a warm fire and just have a good time with. Like, this is an enjoyable movie, but for me it just really kind of lacked any depth and sort of development when it comes to the characters and their stories and their journeys. Yet through the way in which the movie is paced, that very sort of snappy pacing that this film has, it still kind of manages to say a lot as well. Like, you've got, like I've just briefly mentioned, there is this kind of air of grief about it, and a lot of that is you get a lot of that through these characters' stories and what is sort of hinted at throughout. So it's not completely devoid of character, but I just felt like I needed more from these characters for the film to really have the impact that it needed, because it kind of does lack an impact right at the end. So it's an enjoyable experience, but it never really kind of reaches an ultimate high. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag for me, but definitely one that I think people should check out. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. And there's a lot to like about it, but there's a lot that kind of just didn't quite work for me. So yeah, they are my thoughts on A Haunting in Venice, and I will be giving A Haunting in Venice a 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, they are my thoughts on A Haunting in Venice, but what did you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you agree with anything I've said or disagree with anything I've said? Let me know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to see future reviews from just some random Welsh guy ramble on about film and TV, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. My next review will be for Ahsoka episode 5, Shadow Warrior. I'm really looking forward to bringing my thoughts on that episode. It is a little bit late. It was supposed to come before this review, but I was hit by COVID last week, so it kind of threw things up in the air a little bit. So yeah, that will be my next review. So yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.